YouTube, the Boston Celtics have defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference semifinals of the 2024 NBA playoffs and will advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the 5th time in 7 years. This begs me the question, are we as the NBA community undervaluing Jayson Tatum as a player and underappreciating the level of talent and consistency it takes to make 5 Eastern Conference Finals appearances in 7 years? That's what we're going to talk about in this video, folks. Let's get right into it. So like I said, the Boston Celtics defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers and advance to their 3rd straight Eastern Conference Finals series, with Jayson Tatum being the clear and obvious best player on that team. This will now be his 5th Eastern Conference Finals appearance in his 7-year career so far, at just the age of 26 years old. I gotta be honest with you guys, this is really impressive for a 26-year-old player, and I feel Jayson Tatum is being a little bit undervalued and underappreciated in this regard. Let me explain. I feel often that the Boston Celtics are one of the more consistent NBA teams year in and year out during the Tatum era, obviously with the results showing that in their favor. But how come Jayson Tatum doesn't get a ton of credit around the NBA community for leading his team all the way to the conference finals year in and year out? One of the reasons I think is because of him having, basically a perfect situation in Boston. He has a really great team around him, has had that since his rookie year really, and hasn't had many roster issues to struggle with like some of the other players of his age and his ability. But I feel sometimes, even for myself, I really forget sometimes how young Tatum is, because he's been so great for so long in the NBA, and he really just came in 7 years ago. This isn't like a 10-year career or anything like that. And that's kind of how I view it sometimes. I think we just have a tendency to get used to Tatum's greatness and his ability to lead his team to places like the Eastern Conference Finals year in and year out, and kind of take it for granted. And when they lose, or when they lose in the finals in 2022, we kind of just say he's a choker, he's a fraud, or he definitely has had his inconsistent moments in these playoffs. But listen, man, at the end of the day, he's a 26-year-old guy with a 7-year NBA career and has been to the conference finals 5 times and the finals once. Now, he hasn't won a championship yet, and I do think this will be the year that the Boston Celtics do that. That's a different topic for a different video. But who else in the NBA, at his age and his ability, would we be, taking for granted per se, if this were the case for them? Let's say Luka at 26 years old has been to 5 conference finals. We would be talking about that every single day. Tatum gets kind of overlooked because the Celtics are so good, and he's just so consistently great. I'm just wondering, like, why isn't this brought up enough? I see kind of a similar thing on a smaller scale to what LeBron did in his career, making 9 straight finals appearances. And LeBron, I guess critics or haters or whatever you want to call them, will say, oh, well, he lost most of those, right? And that's why it's not as great as it sounds when you just hear 9 straight finals appearances. But this is kind of like I said, something similar on a smaller scale. Tatum in a lot of ways has been the LeBron of the Eastern Conference since he's come into the league. And while I do agree that he really has to get this team over the hump and where he needs to be and finally win a finals championship to be taken as seriously as he wants to be and as great as he wants to be for his legacy, 5 conference finals in 7 years as the best player on your team is nothing to scoff at. You know what I mean? Like, this is a great achievement for a great young talent that, in my opinion, has the opportunity at the end of the day, 10 years, 20 years from now, to be one of the greatest players of this generation. Don't get me wrong here. I am a 76ers fan. I hate the Celtics more than any team in the NBA. Jayson Tatum is one of my least favorite players in the NBA, but I can take a step back and understand just how great he has been over the past 5 years or so. I mean, like I said, he's had his down moments in the playoffs and can be a little bit inconsistent game to game, and the Celtics have a tendency to, do that in the past as a team overall. But if we're gonna sit here and criticize players like Joel Embiid, James Harden, a lot of these guys for choking so much, and Joel Embiid never making a conference final, right, which does deserve a lot of criticism and conversation, I'm just saying that needs to go to the other side as well, where we should be accepting and appreciating and congratulating guys like Tatum when they consistently make it there year after year. It has to go both ways, the criticism and the praise, right? And in my opinion, Jayson Tatum gets a lot of criticism for losing, never a lot of praise for getting there. Similar on a smaller scale to what LeBron did with his 9 straight finals appearances, right? Even if you just look at his playoff stats over the past 3 years, right? Jayson Tatum in 2021, 2022, the year they went to the finals, averaged 25 points per game, 7 rebounds and 6 assists on 42, 39, 80 from the field, 3-point line and free throw line. In 2022, 2023, last year, where they lost the Miami Heat in the conference finals, he actually played a lot better than that, averaging 27 points per game, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 56 from the field, 32 from 3, and 87 from the line. This year, he is playing just as great, in my opinion. Maybe not quite as efficient, but the results are there. I know his team's better, and that might factor in, but listen, it's not like this guy is choking in big games all the time. He has his struggles moment to moment. I feel like sometimes he can disappear out of a game, and it makes you question, is he really that guy? But then all of a sudden, the Celtics win 3 straight, or here, the Celtics, come back and win the game. So these aren't bad series or bad performances consistently enough to where he should not be taken as seriously as my video suggests. I think this is a great accomplishment and all time in this, as far as this decade is concerned, 2024 back to like 2014 or so, this has to be up there with some of the most consistently dominant players for a consistently dominant team that we've seen. I just don't feel like it's being discussed that way. It's almost, like I said, kind of similar to the San Antonio Spurs dynasty. If you guys remember the discussion around those teams, it was always like, yeah, we expect you to get there because you're so great and well-oiled machine. But when you get there, you're expected to win and you get no credit. You know what I mean? It's like, it has to go both ways. If you're going to criticize Tatum and the Celtics for losing all the time in the conference finals, you have to praise them for getting there every single year. I just don't feel like that's happening, right? I think, like I said, the criticism and praise, for certain players is very one-sided. And then all of a sudden, Tatum, who is getting his team where it needs to be almost every single year, maybe he's not getting them over the hump, right? And you could criticize that individually, but it has to go both ways, man. The criticism and the praise has to be consistent with each player around the league. I know every player has different team dynamics and, team situations where maybe sometimes like a team like Luka and the Mavericks, we can criticize a little bit less because Luka doesn't always have the help and he's the only reason they're where they are year in and year out. Maybe not so much this year, but, years past. Tatum, not so much. The Celtics have a great roster around him, have had that for a long time. So Tatum, if he's as great as he always is, they can get as far as they want to be, right? So I get that side of it, but I'm also saying this is no small feat what he's been doing in the Eastern Conference. I mean, he, other than, 2021 where the Bucks won the finals and maybe some of the Heat series, like, game to game stuff, like he has been the boogeyman of the Eastern Conference, if you want to say that. He has been the guy that you have to go through every single time in the Eastern Conference, and I don't think that's something to take lightly, and I don't think that's talked about enough. We love to criticize Jaylen Brown and, how he has last year especially really hurt the Celtics in big moments. We don't take a lot of the blame off of Tatum in that regard. It's like, where is the consistency in this logic? I just think Tatum, overall, my general point is criticized differently and praised differently than a lot of other superstars his age with his experience. I kind of just don't understand why. Maybe it's because Tatum isn't as, flashy or maybe exciting as like a Luka, or doesn't have the narrative of a Jimmy Butler, doesn't have the history of a LeBron. Like, I don't know what it is exactly. It's hard to put my finger on, but it is different. And that's kind of the point of this video. Like I said, I think we have to, really give a lot of props to Jayson Tatum. And like I said, I, of anyone else in this community, want to do that less than anyone else because I'm a 76ers fan. Like I said, the Celtics are the 76ers kryptonite, always have been, probably always will be. And when the Celtics lose in any situation, I'm probably one of the happier guys you're going to find. But I'm just saying, I also respect greatness and I also respect great accomplishments. And this is one of them, man. And I tried not to let my Sixers fandom and bias get in the way of that a lot of times because I'm a basketball fan and an NBA fan at the end of the day. And Tatum deserves his flowers. Maybe if they lose in this conference finals to probably the Knicks, it'll be in the conference finals. I'll regret making this video and saying all this stuff and Tatum comes out and have a bad performance, whatever. But the way Tatum and the Celtics have dominated this Eastern Conference since he's been in the league, like I said, is no small feat, and it has to be talked about like that. I think a lot of people forget, including myself a lot, that this guy's 26 years old. He's not, a 30-year-old player. He's not on that timeline, right? And since he's had so much success early in his career, it's easy to point out the faults and think, you better win this year because, you made it last year and the year before and you haven't won. But it's like, I think we need to really take into account a lot of times that for most players, they don't even hit their prime until they're about 26 years old. So conference finals is a lot of times not something on the table that you can even talk about. Maybe that's where the criticism comes from for Tatum, is that he's had so much success in the past that people just expect it out of him every single year. But like I said, he's only 26 years old and there's a good chance he hasn't even hit his prime yet physically and just put everything all together. I mean, I think he's about there. I think he's this year especially, maybe he's starting to hit his stride and really get into that prime form, but he's just been so great at such a young age already that it's hard to imagine how much better he could get. I guess my point is, Tatum is a 26-year-old NBA player who has had amazing accomplishments and an amazing career already in this league. I think the grading curve for a lot of 26-year-old superstars is different than Tatum's because he's had so much success, which should be a positive rather than a negative. I think that should make him have more benefit of the doubt than less, right? Just because he's had success younger than anyone else doesn't mean we should criticize him harder, right? We should criticize him like a 26-year-old superstar and appreciate all the great things he's done in this league, including this year getting to another straight conference finals, 3 straight, 5 out of 7 years. And like I said, man, that is nothing short of greatness. And I think it should be talked about like that. And I think if a lot of other superstars were doing what Tatum was doing, they'd be getting a lot more good press about it. All that being said, I think Boston has the best chance to win this year out of any year past. You have clearly the best roster and I think best team in the NBA. And when they really turn it on, I don't even see Denver or anyone beating them. I predicted the Celtics would win the finals in a previous video, and I'm sticking to that. They look amazing, and when Porzingis comes back, they're going to be even better. Let's just not take Tatum for granted, man. He's an amazing player. I hate his team, but I can respect the greatness and what he's done at his age in this NBA, and I think more people should as well. That's the point of this video, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you guys. Sorry if I didn't, I kind of didn't script this video. It's just kind of a gut feeling thing. I might have been all over the place. I apologize. I have a tendency to do that sometimes, so make sure you guys bear with me if you really can, because I would really appreciate it. But I'll be the first one to say it. Tatum, I hope you lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I also have to appreciate the fact that you've led your team there once again, and I'm going to give you your flowers when you deserve them. My Sixers fandom won't get in the way of that, and hopefully the Sixers win a title before the Celtics, but that's just a fairy tale that I tell myself. Either way, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you guys drop a like. It really helps out the channel, helps out the video, and helps new people find the video, so make sure you share it to as many people as you can. We upload content just like this every day on this channel, pointing out things in the NBA that's going on that I find interesting. Maybe it could be things that have already happened in the NBA. Maybe it could be things that are going to happen. Just all different topics, broad topics, small topics, every day on this channel. So make sure you guys subscribe if you want to see more of it. We'd love to have you. I just love basketball, man. I love talking about it. I will catch you guys on the next one. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day today. And hopefully maybe you can see Tatum in maybe a different light after watching this video. That's my goal. We got to be fair as NBA fans, man. No matter if we like the player or hate him, got to be fair. I will talk to you guys in the next one. This is your boy D-Haven. As always, peace.